Good evening, dear students. Okay, in the last class we had started JK flip-flop, so today we'll continue, right? Okay, we have seen how a JK flip-flop looks, but still I'll be drawing the structure for you. It was nothing but a simple SR flip-flop where the inputs were JQ bar and KQ, right? Just Q bar. The input was given a feedback at the input, so the S is equal to JQ bar. We have K. So R became KQ, right? Also we have the clock pulse attached. So this was our JK flip-flop that we had seen in our last class. So now let's try to draw this flip-flop using NAND gates, right? So realization of JK flip-flop using NAND gates. NAND gates. Okay. So from the structure you can see it will be similar to SR flip-flop, just that we have to take feedback from the input to the output. That is the only difference a JK flip-flop has from a SR flip-flop, right? So first let's draw the normal SR flip-flop. Gate 1, Gate 2, Gate 3, Gate 4. This is a normal SR flip-flop. Now we have to convert it into a JK flip-flop. So all we do is from the Q bar, we take the Q bar and put it and attach it to the input of J terminal, right? So we take this Q bar and we put it in the input, and we take this Q. You can directly take it from here as well, but I'm making the connection from here. Right? So this is how a JK flip-flop looks like when you create it using NAND gates, right? Now there are two additional connections that you will see. One is a clear input over here, we call it clear, and PR is a preset, right? Now what is the purpose of this clear and preset terminals? Like you have seen in when our inputs are 0, 0 and 1, 1, the output that we get is Qn, and in case of 1, 1 it is Qn bar, right? If you just recollect the truth table of a JK flip-flop, and when your inputs are 0, 0, your output is Qn. When inputs are 1, 1, your output is Qn plus 1. When it's 1, 0, it is 1, and when it's 0, 1, it is 0, right? This is what we have from the truth table. Now we can see that in these two cases our outputs are Qn and Qn bar respectively. So there might be a requirement that we need to fix this Qn and Qn bar. What I mean to say is there might be operations where we need to specify what Qn is, what Qn bar is. I mean, we can specify Qn as 1 or Qn as 0. So when you need to specify these Qns to a particular value, you will need this clear and preset option terminal, right? It is by using these clear and preset terminals we fix the value of Qn and Qn bar, right? And then we can obviously go for the normal functions. Okay, so it is required. These are helpful, or these are required to assign the initial state of the flip-flop. PR and CR used to assign the initial state of the flip-flop, right? So let's see how it happens. Preset and clear input operations. Sorry. Operation. Sorry, this is 0 and this is it is called the preset, and 0 0 must not be used. Okay, so now let's try to understand what we have written in this operation table. When both CR and PR are 1, please refer to the diagram. Okay, when both CR and PR are 1, these do not affect the circuit, do they? Whatever these inputs are, they will remain the same when they pass through an AND gate. When 1 passes with the AND gate, if this is 1, if CR is 1 and if PR is 1, anything that passes, the other inputs passing through the NAND gate remain unaltered, right? 1 is ineffective. 1 dot A bar is A bar. I mean, whatever you send through these inputs, they remain unaffected when PR and CR is 1, right? So when PR and CR is 1, it works like the normal JK flip-flop table, that is QN plus 1 table, the table that we have, this truth table. So when CR and PR are 1, they do not affect the circuit since they are 1s, and 1 dot anything is that itself. So at that point, the circuit works like a normal JK flip-flop. So for us to get a normal working of this circuit, we have to allow the clock pulse. That means the clock pulse has to pass. Clock pulse is 1, and if CR and PR are set to 1, we will get this truth table functioning, right? Now what happens when we put CR is equal to 0 and PR is equal to 1? Okay, if any of the terminal is put 0, say if CR is put 0 and you have anything A or B passing with it through a NAND gate, 0 dot anything is 0, right? And NAND of that is 1, right? That means whatever passes through this gate, whenever we have CR as 0, the output has to be mandatorily 1. I repeat, whenever CR is 0, since this is a 0, all the inputs become immaterial. The output has to be a 1. And if Q, that means Q bar becomes 1. And if Q bar becomes 1, Q becomes 0 automatically, right? So whatever your other inputs are, if you have a clock pulse or even if you do not have a clock pulse, if CR is 0, the output of the JK flip-flop will become, that means Q will become 0 and Q bar will become 1, whatever be the other state of the flip-flop. That means we can fix the output, we can assign 0 to we can assign the initial state is equal to 0 by putting CR is equal to 0 and PR is equal to 1, right? Now we come to this stage when CR is 1 and PR is 0. If we put this, if you look over here, if you put PR is equal to 0, again the same thing happens. Whatever these inputs are become immaterial and the output of gate 3 automatically becomes 1. Whatever be the other inputs of the circuit, everything becomes immaterial and the output of this G3 gate becomes 1. That means our Q becomes 1, and Q becomes 1 means Q bar automatically becomes a 0, right? So if you want to assign the initial state of the Qs to be 1, you have to put CR is equal to 1 and PR is equal to 0, right? And see, the last state 0 0 must not be used. That is also very obvious, because if you pass a 0 through this gate, it automatically gives you a 1. That means PR is equal to 0. If you put PR is equal to 0, output of gate G3 automatically becomes a 1. If you put CR is equal to 0, output of gate 4 automatically becomes 1. But Q and Q bar simultaneously cannot be 1, right? Because one is the complementary of the other. So a contradiction happens. So this state must not be used. This state is not allowed. This is not going to give any proper result, and ambiguous results will be obtained. So this is all about JK flip-flop. We have learnt the operation of JK flip-flop, and now we have learned how to assign the initial values. If you want to assign initial value to the flip-flop, how we can assign it. It is by using this PR and CR terminals, right? So this is all about JK flip-flop. Now we will be moving on to master-slave JK flip-flop, right? Master slave JK flip-flop. See, I want you all to remember this in a very easy manner. These are like a story. First we had SR flip-flop, which had a memory and could store a bit. Then we found that if the inputs do not arrive at the same point of time, there is ambiguity in the result. So we proceeded to clocked SR flip-flop. So we synchronized the input with a clock pulse. Then we found that the 1-1 input state was not allowed in the SR flip-flop. So we moved on to JK flip-flop, right? Now we come on to master-slave JK flip-flop. So let's understand what is the importance of the master-slave JK flip-flop. If you can look onto this this diagram once more, all you can find one thing is the output from the first stage is being fed back to the input in JK flip-flop, right? Initially it was not done in SR flip-flop, but in case of JK flip-flop, we find a feedback has been taken from the input to the output, okay? Now you need to keep this in mind, okay? Now we already know that the circuit is active when the clock pulse is present, right? We have already read this, that during this stage our circuit is functional, okay? But whenever the clock pulse, there is no clock pulse, when it falls, then the circuit becomes inactive, right? By this time we know this, okay? Now obviously when a signal travels from the input to the output, it takes a time, right? That time is called the propagation delay. Time taken is approximately the time taken by the signal to travel from input to output, right? Now since there is a feedback, this kind of thing may happen, okay? Now this pulse width, we call it TP. Say for instance this pulse width is TP, and the propagation delay, that is the time the input takes, the time the signal takes to move from the input to output, is the propagation delay, which is denoted by delta t, right? Now if this happens, that the signal travels from the input to the output in time delta t, such that delta t is less than Tp. If this is the condition, what happens? The signal reaches the output, but the pulse is still on, say del t is this much, okay? By the time it has reached the output, the signal is still working. The input signal, the input clock pulse is still functional. That means the circuit is active. Now since there is a feedback, the output immediately comes back to the input again, and since the pulse is on, the circuit will again give output. What I mean to say is, the input should not change, the input is not supposed to change during the active period of the clock pulse, right? We have a particular input and we want a particular output. But if the input changes during the period of the clock pulse, during the active period of the clock pulse, ambiguous results will be given since there is a feedback. Since there is a feedback, if the propagation delay is less than the pulse width, then the output will again come to the input, it will again go to the output. If the pulse continues, the signal will again come to the input and change the output. That means since the input will change multiple times during the active period of the pulse, the output will also constantly change. And because of this change, ambiguous result will be obtained at the end of the clock pulse. This is a situation which is obviously not welcome. So this needs to be corrected. Okay, now this condition is called race around condition. I have written this in the PDF, so I'm not writing it over here, but it is the ambiguous result because of the change of input repeatedly during the active period of the clock pulse. Okay, and it is because of the fact that the propagation delay is less than the pulse width or the active period of the pulse. So that is why this condition happens. So now this needs to be restricted, and that is what is done in case of master slave JK flip-flop, right? So let's see how a master slave JK flip-flop looks like. The circuit is very simple. It is just two JK flip-flops connected in series. Okay, like the name suggests, you have a master flip-flop and a slave flip-flop, right? JK flip-flop, like I said, there is a master flip-flop and a slave flip-flop. These two form the master, these two form the slave. Okay, we have a clock pulse, right? And this comes over here and this comes over here. This is QM and this is QM bar, right? Again, you have a JK flip-flop over here. This is Q, this is Q bar. Okay. Okay, since this is a JK flip-flop, a feedback has to be taken from the output to the input. So we take this Q bar from here to here, and we take this Q from here to here, right? The feedbacks have been taken. Now look at the trick that has been applied in JK flip-flop. Over here you have a clock pulse which is connected. Also you need to have a clock pulse over here because also this is a JK flip-flop. The trick that has been applied is we invert this clock pulse before reaching the slave. And this performs the action, okay, what we intended to. We intended to stop the race around condition, right? And that is performed by this NOT gate. It inverts the clock pulse. That means when the clock pulse is active, this master flip-flop, I mean this much, when the clock pulse is active, this master flip-flop works. But since it is inverted in the active period of the clock pulse, the slave is non-working. Non-working. Right? That means the problem that happened initially, that in the active period of the clock pulse there was repeated feedback, but see now there is no chance left, because the feedback is taken from the slave circuit, which remains inactive during the active period of the clock pulse. So since this circuit is remaining inactive, the pulse cannot flow back to the input, right? And the input cannot change. Immediately when the clock pulse falls down, this becomes active, and this comes here, and this QM bar goes over here, and then the feedback happens, right? It happens when the clock pulse is inactive, because when the clock pulse is inactive, that is when this slave circuit becomes active, right? So then it comes over here and sits over here, because inactive clock pulse makes this master inactive, and again when the clock pulse is active, that is when the master works, and again the slave is non-working. So what I mean to say is, or the beauty of this circuit is, the problem that the input was repeatedly traveling back to the output was repeatedly traveling back to the input during the active period of the clock pulse is solved over here, because this circuit remains inactive during the active period of the clock pulse, right? And like you can see, this slave flip-flop just transfers this value to over here and this value over here, because it is QM and QM bar, so the only combination they can have is 0 1 or a 1 0, right? And in SR flip-flop we have seen, when it is a 0 1 the output is 0, and when it is a 1 0 the output is 1. So only these values get transferred in the absence of clock pulse. That is what the slave performs. So the problem of race around condition has been beautifully solved by the master slave JK flip-flop, right? Okay, so that's all. As the working is normal like the JK flip-flop, please go through it in the book. I think the explanation is sufficient to understand what I meant to say. Okay, now we have two more flip-flops, that is D-type flip-flop and T-type flip-flop. Okay, this is the truth table of JK flip-flop. I've just written this for convenience sake. Okay, so now we move on to D-type flip-flop. So how do we obtain a D-type flip-flop? D-type flip-flop and T-type flip-flop both are single input flip-flops. Okay, in D-type flip-flop we connect the J and K inputs via a NOT gate, and in T-type flip-flop we connect the J and K input simply. Okay, so like I said, in okay, so like I said just now, in D-type flip-flop we connect the J and K terminals via a NOT gate. Okay, this is a D-type flip-flop, right? If you want to see the logic symbol of a D-type flip-flop, it is like this: D, CK, PR, CR, Q, and a Q bar, right? So now if we have to write the truth table of a D-type flip-flop, it is a single input circuit, and we just study the output of the QN terminal. So your inputs, that is the J input, you call it DN. Okay, the DN can be either 0 or a 1, right? So you need to understand, when J is 0, K automatically becomes 1. So you have to look at the JK truth table, that when our input J is 0 and K is 1, what do we get? So when input J is 0, K is 1, we get 0, right? Similarly, when our input J is 1, automatically our K becomes 0, and 1 0 input, 1 0 input gives me a 1, right? So from the truth table it can be seen whatever we give to the input, we get the same as the output by the end of the clock pulse. By the end of the clock pulse, the input gets transferred to the output. So that is where the name comes D flip-flop or delay flip-flop, right? By that what I mean is a delay flip-flop delays the signal exactly by 1 cycle of the clock pulse. Whatever you give as the input, that is what you get as the output. Like in case of calculators, whatever you input, if you input a 1, you see a 1 displayed on the screen, right? So it is very helpful in case of registers. So whatever you give, you get that, just that it is delayed by 1 clock pulse. Okay, 1 clock pulse. So that's all about a D-type flip-flop. Now let's see what a T-type flip-flop means. Okay, like I've just mentioned, a T-type flip-flop is nothing but a JK flip-flop where the J and K terminals are directly connected. Okay, sorry. So over here the J and K terminals are directly connected. This is a T-type flip-flop. If you want to see the logic symbol, it is like this. I have a T over here, a CK over here, PR, CR, Q and a Q bar, right? So let's have a look at the truth table. Input, output, you have Tn in the input and Qn plus 1 in the output, right? So input can either be a 0 or be a 1. Now have a look at the circuit. If your J is 0, it automatically makes your K 0. So when J and K are 0, from the truth table we get the previous output. So our output is Qn. When J is 1, K automatically becomes 1 and a 1 1 input gives me a Qn bar, right? And this is where the name comes from. We can see when the input is 1, our previous output changes. That means the value of the output or the value of the initial state of the flip-flop toggles on the application of T is equal to 1. And from there comes the name T flip-flop or toggle flip-flop, right? Since on applying T is equal to 1, our initial state changes from Qn to Qn bar. That is a toggling action happens. That is why the flip-flop has been named a toggle type flip-flop, right? So that's all. Meet you in the next class. Thank you.